In Brazil, President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva inaugurated the power line that will link the Amazonian state of Roraima to the National Interconnected System. In Nigeria, West African military leaders agreed on a plan for a possible intervention in Niger as the deadline nears for the country junta to restore civilian rule. At least 11 people were killed and dozens missing after a landslide at a resort town in northwestern Georgia. Hello, welcome to From the South. I'm Ana Razabal from the teleSUR studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. In Brazil, President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva inaugurated the power line that will link the Amazonian state of Roraima to the National Interconnected System. On Friday, the Brazilian president presented the program Life for All, aimed at reducing the burden of diesel in the region, combining development and preservation of the environment. The decarbonization program for National Interconnected System will also be implemented. The interconnection of the municipalities of Paritins, Itacoatiara, and Juriti to the National Interconnected System of electric power will also be announced. Lula da Silva signed the order of service for the line between Manaus as well. In addition, the decree for the electrical interconnection of South American countries will be signed. With dialogues on the Amazon economy and inclusive rural transformation, the second day of the Pre-Amazon Summit progresses in Brazil. In order to promote the implementation of an Amazon bioeconomy through the transformation of the agri-food systems, the social movement of the Amazon countries met in the city of Belém for the second day. After the end of the first day, there was an agreement to present a proposal with possible solutions to the common problems to the plenary of the Amazon Summit, which takes place on August 8th and 9th, and will be attended by the president of the Amazonian nations. In Argentina, lefty groups are preparing for the primary, open, simultaneous, and mandatory elections to be held next Sunday, August 13, all over the country. Members of three different perspectives tell us about their position regarding the electoral proposal in the following report from correspondent Santiago Corey.
The Workers' Left Front Unity has two proposals, one of which is headed by Miriam Bregman and represented by young people such as 18-year-old Lautaro Bamonde.
We are a list of commitment. We are a list of guaranteed struggle. In other words, you can see us in the streets every day, together with the people of Jujuy lately, together with the workers. During the campaign, many promises are made, and what we make are commitments. We always do what we say, and we, from the youth, are always active in the streets. You will see us this year promoting the campaign and in all the struggles that are to come. And next year, when the IMF adjustment comes, we will also be in the streets together with Miriam Bregman and Nicolás del Caño, who are at the head of the list I am on, who are fighters. For example, I am the grandson of disappeared people. The mothers of Plaza de Mayo and Miriam Bregman made me proud that they put mass killers in jail, and recently the grandson 133 appeared, thanks to an enormous fight we are giving, and that is the proof that fighting is useful.
Pablo Giachelo, who is part of the list headed by Gabriel Solano, points out why they are the option to be chosen in the internal election.
In this country, everyone has governed. Kirchnerists, Peronists, radicals, Macristas, and the situation is getting worse and worse. We come from a very acute social regression. 55% of the children are poor, 40% of poverty, and they all come with a war plan against the workers dictated by the International Monetary Fund. And we're stating that we have to stop this, and that we have to defend the workers, who are strong defenders of migrants. Today, there is a growth in the xenophobic, racist, reactionary discourse, not only in Argentina, with every reactionary right wing, but worldwide. We strongly defend the rights of migrants in Argentina and around the world, and at the same time we're fighting for migrants to accompany the list of the left front and for them to have the same rights as Argentinian citizens.
Meanwhile, as another option, and for the single list of the new MAS, headed by Manuela Castañeira, Federico Wincourt puts forward some of the proposals of the party of which he is a member.
For us, this election is very important. We see that it is very much to the right, where all the big sectors are discussing how much they are going to adjust the working people. That this crisis can only be overcome with adjustment and how much pressure they are going to put to turn the debate to the left. That is why we are making our proposal together with Manuela Castañeira for a minimum vital and mobile salary of 500,000 pesos. We propose that the rent from that salary should be capped at 50% of the family income and that this should be controlled and regulated, and also a housing construction plan so that the market spends at the same time as tax on idle housing.
After the PASO, the forces that achieve a minimum of 1.5% of the valid votes and win their internal election, if disputed, will be able to compete in the general elections in October.
Santiago Corey, Telesur, Argentina.
In Colombia, according to reports from the Institute for Development and Peace, at least 100 social and indigenous leaders have been assassinated so far this year. According to Inepas, despite the improvement made by Gustavo Petro's government to achieve total peace in Colombia, since the signing of peace agreements in August 2016, around 1,000 social leaders and defenders have been assassinated. Up to the figure, 100 correspond to the victims of systematic violence, and from January to August 2023, a number that was completed with the crime of Neza indigenous leader Luis Eduardo Timana last Friday. In El Salvador, security forces continue for the third consecutive day operating in the department of Cabañas, where they intend to detain alleged gang members. Human rights organizations announced that the operations take place within the framework of the implementation of a police and military siege in the territory under the exception regime imposed by the government of Nayib Bukele. The population rejected the search operation for presumed gang members in the rural zones of the department. For their part, members of the police will continue with the development of special operations in the department. Let's take a short break, but remember you can join us on TikTok at teleSUR English, where you find news in different formats, new dates, and more. Other studies coming up, stay with us. Welcome back. Russian and Chinese naval warships conducted a drill to destroy a simulated enemy submarine within the framework of the combined patrol in the Pacific Ocean. During the transit in the southwestern part of Bering Sea, the sailors conducted an anti-submarine exercise in which they rehearsed the location and destruction of a simulated submarine. On the other hand, the Russian and Chinese military improved their tactical maneuver skills as well as conducted communication training, helicopter takeoff and landing from the decks of their ships. The Russian Defense Minister stressed that the joint patrol in Pacific water is aimed at reinforcing military cooperation between Moscow and Beijing, as well as contributing to peace and stability in both countries. The Russian government condemned the possible foreign military intervention in the internal affairs of Niger. The foreign minister expressed the need to implement mechanisms to organize a national dialogue to re-establish peace and guarantee the rule of law and public order in the African country. Authorities stated that the threats to use military forces against Niger will not reduce tensions or favor the resolution of the conflict. Furthermore, spokeswoman Maria Zakharova said that the European Union is not competent to judge freedom of expression in Niger. In Nigeria, West African military leaders agree on a plan for a possible intervention in Niger as deadline near for the country's junta to restore civilian rule. The military reached the agreement on the last day of an extraordinary summit meeting of the Economic Community of West African States, Ecomas, held on Friday in Nigeria's capital, Abuja, to discuss ways to respond to the crisis. Last Sunday, ECOWAS gave the junta that toppled elected President Mohamed Bazoum in a July 26 coup 1 week to restore him for face the potential use of force. The Bloc's Commissioner Abdel Fattah Moussa said that all the elements that would go into any eventual intervention had been worked out. On the other hand, Niger's junta has vowed to respond immediately to any foreign intervention and has been holding Bazoum and his family in his official residence in the capital Niamey for 9 days.
All the elements that would go into any eventual intervention have been worked out here and being refined, including the timing, including the resources needed, and including how and where and when we are going to deploy such a force. We want diplomacy to work, and we want this message clearly transmitted to the leaders of the junta in Niger, that we are giving them every opportunity to reverse what they have done.
The United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization, FAO, announced that world food commodity prices rose in July under the influence of the termination of the Black Sea Grain Export Initiative. According to UN agency, the World Food Index averaged 123.9 points, up to 1.3% from June. The agency also stressed that the increase was due to a sharp rise in the FAO vegetable oil price index, which rose 12.1% since June after 7 consecutive months of decline. In response, the FAO warned that rising food prices pose a major food security threat to a wide section of the world's population. At least 11 people were killed and dozens missing after a landslide at a resort town in northwestern Georgia. The landslide took place on Thursday in Shovey, a small resort town in Georgia's mountainous northwest, famed for its vast forests and mineral water springs. Prime Minister Irakli Garibashvili said the rescuers were on the scene and that he had called in the army to help with search efforts. According to local authorities, 25 people were still missing, while 200 were evacuated from the area. Shovey, located in a remote valley about 140 kilometers northwest of the capital Tbilisi, lies in the confluence of two rivers. Heavy rains and flooding are fairly common in Georgia, where steep slopes pose the risk of landslides. In 2008, 6 people were killed by a landslide in the southern Black Sea region of Adjara. In this context, the president of Georgia, Salome Zurabishvili, declared that it's important to stand together in different times.
We know how to stand together in the face of such tragedies. It is important that we stand together and help people in need to get through this difficult time in their lives.
We have a second short break coming up, but before we invite you to visit our YouTube channel and teleSUR English, there you'll be able to rewatch our interviews, sub-stories, special broadcastings, and more. Hit the subscribe button and activate the notification bell to stay up to date on the world's more recent events. Final short break, don't go away. Welcome back. And now we head to southwestern China, where a local football championship that went over the hearts of the entire country ended last weekend. As the sunshine took over Chinese social media, hundreds of thousands of tourists began traveling to the small town on weekends to watch matches with teams made up of local workers. Brazilian TVT correspondent in China, Mauro Ramos, attended the final game and will tell us more about it. Let's see.
The passion for football in China continues to grow. This year, in addition to the fever generated by the arrival of Argentinian idol Lionel Messi for the friendly game against Australia and the participation of the national team in the Women's World Cup, a phenomenon piqued the interest of Chinese people throughout the country. A tournament in a small county called Ruanjiang in Guizhou province in southwestern China. The championship is called Cunchao and can be translated as the Village Super League. The final took place last weekend. 20 teams from various places and with players from different ethnic groups participated in it. The players are all workers from the region, peasants, students, drivers, and local business people aged between 15 and 50 years.
As a peasant, I have to go to the field in the morning. Nowadays, it is not as backward as it used to be, so we can use modern tools. Every morning I go to the field to see if there are any problems with the crops. I go early in the morning and come back at noon. I take a 2 hours break at noon and then go back to the field to see my crops.
This was the first time that Tsunchao took on national proportions. The small county of Runjiang, with a population of 385,000, received around 1 million tourists after the games trended on Chinese social media. On Saturday, July 29, more than 150,000 people traveled to Runjiang to watch the final.
Tsunchao, the Super Village League, is first and foremost a showcase for our collective confidence and Runjiang's culinary delights. It also serves as a way to bond through football culture, showcasing our local cuisine and the intangible cultural heritage of our ethnic minorities. Fundamentally, it has greatly contributed to Runjiang's economic growth and ultimately significantly increased the cohesion of our community.
Wu Jiajie is a peasant from Zhongcheng, the village that came runner-up. Throughout the Tsunchao, she sold juices and fruit that she grew herself on her land.
Today is Tsunchao's final. At first, we really didn't imagine that Tsunchao would become so popular. We really welcome friends from different places to come to our Tsunchao. They have helped us a lot in business, bringing great benefits to Runjiang in Guizhou. We're excited and happy to meet all of you, our friends from the outside. And, well, I really don't know what to say. I'm very excited right now.
In the first month of the championship, tourism in Runjiang generated more than 1.2 billion yuan, about 167 million US dollars. The neighbors organized the entire event. The teams, the calendar of the games, the rules and the prizes, which were animals raised by the peasants of the region themselves. The winning team, Zhejiang, won a bull. The runners-up, Zhongcheng, won goats. Those from Chamba came third and won the prize of pigs. And those in fourth place, Xinjiang, got geese. The judges, the linespeople and the best players also took home chickens. The initiative is part of a larger project that is rural revitalization. As part of this policy, the central government set a goal of creating more than 100 rural sports events by 2035. Rural revitalization in China is the country's strategy to consolidate the achievements of poverty reduction and the elimination of extreme poverty in recent years. It is also part of the Chinese modernization project.
Tsunchao has indeed stimulated our local economy. For example, many local villagers would usually go outside their hometowns for work. But thanks to this platform and these activities, many people can come back to work in their hometowns. As a result, the local economies get boosted, and many people are also happy that they don't have to leave their hometown to find work.
Runjiang was one of the last 9 counties in China to be removed from the country's poverty list in 2020. One of the guiding elements of the campaign that lifted 100 million people out of poverty in 8 years was how to ensure people stay out of poverty. The promotion of sports and rural tourism is one of the responses that China has been implementing.
The local football association, as well as the Dong and Miao Ethnic Studies Association, organize the games. The government provides funds for the necessary infrastructure, while we are responsible for organizing the games. Regarding financing, we reject all forms of commercialization, sponsorship and profit.
As during all the weekends in which it was played, the final of the Tsunchao featured cultural activities representing the ethnic diversity of the region. One of these presentations included 600 women of different communities singing on the football pitch. More than 83% of Runjiang's population belongs to 15 ethnic groups, such as the Miao and Dong. The final match was practically settled. Zhongcheng was winning 2-1 when a few minutes before the end of the match, Zhejiang team scored the draw goal. The match went directly to penalties and finally the residents of Zhejiang took home the winning title.
It has been a long and difficult day, but we managed to win the championship. I am proud, happy and delighted from being a peasant to winning the Tsunchao Championship. I am extremely happy.
From TVT in China for teleSUR, Mauro Ramos.
We have come to the end of this news brief. You can find this and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. And join us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok. For teleSUR English, I'm Ana Rosabal. Thank you for watching.